Hello, everyone. I'm Elise, says Another Truth here on YouTube. Good morning. I hope you're all doing well and you're taking great care of yourselves. It is quite early on a Sunday morning to be awake and to be active, but to be honest, I had gone to bed quite early. I have not been feeling well, which is one of the things I'll discuss today. And I need to take rest. So, thank you for joining me for this personal video. I will be certain to have Katie Joy's video out today. I delayed it for a number of reasons, which I will discuss in the first part of this video. In part two, I'm going to talk about my personal stuff, including some healthcare stuff, and I'll give you a verbal warning before I start getting into any details. They won't be explicit, but I understand some people might have health anxiety. They might be triggered. And I say that with a respectful tone. And not everybody wants to hear that. So there it is. Now, before I get into it, everything I say here in this video, everything is based on my personal perspectives, my understanding, and my opinions. Secondly, I'm not here to degrade anybody or to diminish anyone's experiences. Please take everything that I say just based on my opinion. You are obligated to do your own research. And I say that you're obligated because you should not rely on my words as fact. I would say normally you have that opportunity. I would say given the current times, you are obligated to get facts. You are obligated to research, to form your own opinion. All right, so the first part of this, I just want to talk about why I'm struggling to make this Katie Joy video. I know it's probably the least interesting thing. I am grappling with the seriousness of the issue of any type of registry for people who are considered disabled, ill, or anything. I mean, one registry can lead to another. So RFK wanted to do this autism registry system. Now, in my opinion, he's doing it because he wants to blame autistic people for existing so that whatever comes out of his deluded mind can be validated by the experiences of others. Carolyn Kennedy said it well in her depiction of her cousin that he is a predator given his past behavior, and he has shown himself to be that of such. It's a shame that we have this representative here instead of somebody with knowledge, with medical science, and even that, because science was used to hurt people in the past. I know medical science was. I'm not going to lie. But somebody with compassion and knowledge and understanding of how things intersect with healthcare, access to healthy food, access to good medical care, things like that. RFK Jr. is not interested in making those things equitable for anybody. He does not base any of what he states on facts, and even if there's a scintilla of truth, it's wholly discredited, in my opinion, based on how he treats other people, based on his lack of knowledge in pseudoscience, based on perpetuating debunked science. What was not science, what was not scientifically considered Because to be honest with you, even in my minimal experience of academic research, did I find that a lot of things that I researched extremely biased. We had to do at least a couple of tests, a couple of known tests of authenticity in our research. And I had found that a lot of the stuff that I felt supported my claim was biased. And it was a really telling sign of who I am as a person or the way I thought at that time. So I said, okay, well, this isn't going to work. I've even had works that were supported by pharmaceuticals that I thought would support my opinion about, let's say, the COVID vaccine and how much I support it. But the researcher was sponsored by a pharmaceutical company, and there was a bias there, and I could not use that information as much as it resonated with me. Those things right there, those are the basic things to look out for. And usually, like, say, with mental health research, from my limited research perspective, even with some of the mental health paperwork, research papers, peer reviewed, were available, but it was by the same type of people that have always had a control over mental health research and therapy. So I didn't discredit everybody, but I had to look for biases. I had to look for equitability in those things. Okay, this is undergraduate work that I did. I'm not a graduate, I'm not a PhD. I haven't advanced to that yet. I will. Once I'm settled, I will approach that. But even with that mindset, even with that level of education, it was really important to understand what could prejudice my own research. RFK Jr. won't ever do that. He's used his privilege and his power to manipulate people. I will describe that much further in the video. Now, Katie Joy did not address that. There were some things I was able to distill and research on my own and stuff that I've already referenced. And some of the things she said in that Instagram post about RFK Jr., this was an Instagram post she made, I think, last week or the week before. She had some talking points that were interesting. And I think in Instagram, there's only so much that you can produce from a researcher's perspective. But I think that she pulled some things out that made sense and put it together. I think I can say that when I make an Instagram post. There were some things that she said that resonated with me. There were some things I know she got from this place and that place. I do think that her advocacy is a performative. I do think she believes that she cares about this. But there are some complications even with that. So honestly, the stuff with RFK to me is more serious than what Katie Joy does. But the fact of the matter is, being a performative supporter whether the intention is good or not, still has a bad outcome. So I'm trying to balance those two things. My health concerns. So this past week, there were a few things I had to do that were pivotal in my independence. I will describe more later. But things are happening in motion as they should. Big changes affront. So it's, it creates anxiety for me because I don't like change, but change had to happen because it was inevitable. So in doing my everyday business, I started having sharp pain in my back. It was like my mid back, not like too much in the upper area, more in the central portion. And I thought, oh boy, it's a kidney infection or something. Because I hadn't been really feeling good, feeling sluggish, not, feverish. And I thought for certain it was that. So I ended up going to the doctor to get it checked out. Because in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm older. It may not just be back pain from moving too fast or whatever, because sometimes that can happen as you get older. Okay. So there were a number of things going on. And I went there, I got it checked out. So I had to go for an ultrasound stat, which I did. They wanted me in x-ray as well. They wanted me to get a CAT scan. The CAT scan would have been several cities away. And it's weird because it's the way that it is in my medical compound. Not several cities away, several miles away. I mean, to me, it's a long way. And I said, okay. So they arranged transportation for me because they said, well, we can take you through an ambulance. I'm like, no, because I said, unless this is an emergency and you think I'm at risk, because they got the results, they couldn't see anything. And they wanted to send me in an ambulance. But I said, well, the ambulance is very expensive. And because it's, privatized in my community, they're going to end up charging me money for it. So they arranged transportation for me to get there safely instead of me trying to, get there on my own. So they did that. I went in and it was stat, but no one prepared me for it. For the CAT scan, this is probably maybe the second CAT scan I got in my life. Now, I hadn't been to this imaging center since the pandemic, because during the pandemic, I had gallbladder issues. And so I had an MRI done there. I was prepared for it. It wasn't stat, but I was prepared for it. No one prepared me for the CAT scan, what to expect. And the weird thing is, like, I had lunch before then, before my appointment, before all this had happened. It was just in a matter of a few hours. And I think less than 4 hours, because it was bang, bang, bang. And I went there, and as soon as they put in, there's a contrast and non-contrast. So they put in the non-contrast IV, which helps them see for some things. I was fine with that, but that was the non-contrasting. The contrasting one, I ended up getting very sick. Just warning, it's going to be a little descriptive. It hit me. I mean, as soon as it went in, um, how do I say? I was vomiting. Uh, I was in the table. As soon as that thing hit my veins, they said it would feel warm and weird. I could feel it in my body, in my throat, my everything. Okay, I didn't have that experience before. I had it then, and I thought, well, maybe it's because I just ate or something happened. It wasn't that. I ended up having an allergic reaction to it. I was so sick, and I started getting welts on my arms. It wasn't just the heat, I had an allergic reaction to it. Um, so then I got so sick, I was going to try to go and get the imaging done, but I ended up just being sick throughout the visit. Then, before I went home, I had to rest. They wouldn't let me leave because I was so out of it. I should have gotten medical attention at that point, proper medical attention. I did not. So I relaxed, and, the event was over. So then eventually, I didn't wait too long. I ended up getting um, the transportation back home, an Uber back home. And I went to, I went rested for the rest of the day. I was so sick. I was so sick. At the same time, I wanted something like a toast or something. I made toast. I was fine, but I'll tell you, I was nauseous up until I think I was sick for 17 hours after that. Wait a minute. 17. No, maybe up until 10 o'clock yesterday morning, because I had the testing on Friday afternoon around between 4 and 5. It wasn't until like 10 o'clock Saturday morning, yesterday morning, that I started to feel better. Like I didn't have that metal taste in my mouth. I wasn't nauseous anymore. And I ended up making some scrambled eggs for breakfast because was really craving it. I don't personally eat eggs that often. I mean, we can joke about the price of eggs. It's outrageous. I do use eggs for cooking and things. Um, but to have scrambled eggs, it's not often because um, it's something I've kind of reduced in my diet, not because of price, just because it's not very good. And even trying to get egg whites, oh my gosh, it's so expensive. A lot of this stuff is expensive. I'll go into groceries later. So I made scrambled eggs for myself and my best friend. My best friend was looking after me for a change, which he doesn't have to, but he was worried. But I wanted to make the scrambled eggs because I wanted to get back into a routine of doing things to keep my mind off of what happened. Then I started to feel better. And then by the end of the day, my appetite returned. So it was definitely that stuff that created an allergic reaction. I thought because I had eaten, you're not supposed to eat like 4 or 5 hours ahead of time. They didn't warn me. I would have said, well, I ate 2 hours ago. No one thought. They warned other people. They didn't thought to ask me anything. And I didn't think to ask them anything. But no one thought to ask me, did you eat? How you feeling? Nothing. And I'm pissed off about that. So it could have been that. But I think given the welts and the other feeling, I had a reaction to that um, contrast dye. So I'm sure they didn't get all the imaging that they wanted. And that probably would have told more of a story about what's going on. I said I would come back, but there would have to be something else. I can't have that dye in me because I reacted so badly to it. Um, but they did find something in the imaging. Now, I don't think it's an emergency where the doctors are having to call me back in or anything like that, because they would have. My doctor's office, they see something wrong. They send you in stat for tests. There's no effing around. And which I'm grateful for. I'm happy to comply. So I got the results, like I said. So there is something going on. Um, and once they've determined it, I'll know what the next steps are. I can't say what it is because I can say, oh, yeah, this and that, but I'll let the doctors describe to me what I'm seeing and what they'll see. And then when I have more information, I'll convey that to you. So I'm not really worried about it right now. There isn't much that I can do about right now. I've been through this process before, and the whole rigor of getting testing done, seeing this doctor, that doctor. But I knew something was wrong. I knew something was up, and I'm glad I went because now we can take care of it. Whatever they find, whatever they need to do to get a better idea, the best that I'll be. And maybe I have to go through a round of hell again to get to the truth. It's part of it. That'll be my decision to make if it's necessary in the future. So, yeah, there's that. And I'll keep you updated. Am I scared? No, not really. There isn't anything to be scared about. What I looked at, okay, it's manageable, but I'm not a doctor. I'll let doctors look at that. I'll get a second opinion if one is needed. But I do think there has to be further testing done, to be honest with you, just to rule it out. Because I'm very in tune with my body. When something's not right, I'll let my doctors know. I'll keep a symptom tracker. And I usually arm myself with that. And they're very responsive to me when something's wrong, because I know when something's wrong. So, and I don't want to take chances. Like I said, I'm an older adult, and the earlier you catch things, the better, usually. I mean, that's the advice I have. So, whatever journey I'm going on, I may share that with YouTube. And it's okay because, I look at it this way. I'm in a place where I can get good health care. I'm responsive, and hopefully it won't collapse here given the chaos and the chaos in politics now, whatever. I'll just do the best that I can up until that point. 'Cause I have a lot of important work here to do in my community on a volunteer basis. There's a lot that has to be done. And it's a great distraction, but it really drives home the importance of how important it is for people to have accessible health care, among other things. You know, it, it creates more empathy within me that I didn't realize was there. So it's important to have these experiences to connect us. I mean, I don't necessarily need to have it affect me to care, because sometimes some people who go through an experience, they go back to who they are. You would expect that. I mean, some experiences change people, some experiences don't change minds in the way that you hope. That's the way it is in the world. When you learn that in any political work that you do, any kind of representational group, municipal government work, state government work, all these things, you tend to realize that at least that's the you know the glimpse of what I have been getting in my own community-based work. But, you know, I just got to keep going because I have a lot to live for. I have a lot to look forward to. And I've reached the point of near true independence as much as I can have. And it's where I want to be. And I cherish it with with every fiber of my being, because it can be snatched away so quickly. You know, and another thing, in my work, I have to uphold the Constitution. I'm afraid that's going to be a crime. It's considered a crime for some communities in our society. It will surely be one. It surely is it's going to be for everybody at this point. But I can't do what I do without upholding the Constitution. I can't do what I do without respecting other people's rights. And doing this type of work, because every work that you do when you serve the public, whether it's on a school committee or whether it's on a disability commission or it's in a neighborhood council, whatever, you have to uphold the Constitution. Anything that's connected with government. Well, neighborhood council may not be connected with government, but the others might be, yeah, connected to municipal government for sure. You have to uphold the Constitution. You have to respect the rights of others. You have to take into effect these things. And that means no discrimination. To me, it's especially, how you voted, what your financial status is, whatever. You can't be discriminated against. Your rights can't be taken away based on those things. I know that it happens. I personally was a victim of that in a different way, but most of us are. Oh man, it's so hard sometimes to be neutral, but you have to be neutral when you work in this field, in this area, because it is for the betterment of all, not just one select group. But equitability means that everybody should have a level playing field, should have, because some groups are underserved, and you want to make that rise. You want to balance that with that of others. And a lot of people don't want that because they want a flat bottom, so they want a bottom position, so they feel better about their lower position in the rungs of society. And I say that because I'm not saying I believe that we should live in rungs of society. I think we should always strive to advance ourselves. Advance ourselves can mean learning a new skill. It could be having a new interest. For people learning independent daily activities, those triumphs mean independence. Sometimes people lose those abilities, but sometimes the advancement there is feeling the love from others. Feeling loved is important. It's something I lack. I feel like I'm not loved. Now that's a feeling I have. If I felt loved, that would be one of my biggest triumphs, because nothing else can relate to that. Nothing else can compare to that. So this is the lesson in all of it, at least for me. um, in my daily life, my regular life, how I interact with the world. Okay, so I'll get to work on that Katie Joy video. Um, I've rewritten it so many times, but I'm going to get to work on it and get it out to you. Again, please do your own research. Do yourselves a favor. Take care of yourselves. You're worth it. Thanks for listening. Bye.